If we're going to really elevate our industry, the teams, the brokerages that lean into elevating that client and agent experience are going to be the ones that are really going to win, because they're going to naturally build an army, a tribe of people who are out there singing their praises. Humans trust referrals from friends and family 92% more than any other marketing or advertising campaign.
Well, today I am joined by Amy Stockberger. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat.
I'm glad to be here. I love what you're doing, Troy. This is awesome. I love
Thank you
people who
so
pour
much.
into our industry so much.
That's what I'm hoping for. I really like to see how, agents providing value to the industry helps the industry move along.
Yeah.
So, and what better than to sit down with the number one team leader in South Dakota and talk about what she provides.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
All right. So jump right in. You've been in real estate for a good amount of time and have a really cool brokerage, Teamridge. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so been in it 26 years, found a hole in my business in 2014. We were killing the before and during part of the transaction. Our clients were so happy. Systems are one of my superpowers, but we weren't getting the repeat and referral business that I knew we should be getting. And because I knew at that time that it cost more to acquire a new client than it did to keep a one forever, I was running, I thought I was so clever back in 2014. We were running these billboard ad campaigns to the tune of like 30 grand a year. And the only campaign goal I had was to remind the people who knew, like, and trusted me to use me again. And hey, shocker, guess what? It didn't work. It didn't work because it wasn't serving them at all. And so I went into some major extreme ownership, had to figure out what our actual value propositions were. And what I found was really sad. I mean, it was like we were the local best at connecting buyers and sellers. Yeah. So that's our definition of our job. I could find you the best house, matches your budget and your parameters. Still part of your job. I could sell your house, most amount of money, least amount of hassle. Exact Webster's Dictionary, our job. And so I realized that I had to create a model that served our clients before, during, and forever. And I wanted to create something that was rooted in service. I call it serve, 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 sell. So we built a lifetime home support model that does have a system and strategy for every step of the home buying and selling process, before, during, and forever. And we have something set up for the very first homeowner getting out of a rental into home ownership with our lease buyout program, all the way to the very last seller selling that last house, going into senior care for a golden age guided move program. Everything in the middle, from guaranteed sale, instant offer, love it or leave it. But our core offerings are a VIP club, and we have a really beautiful vendor program. So when clients buy or sell once with us, they get access to free moving trucks, party supplies, cotton candy snow cone, tables and chairs, margarita machines, every tool they're ever going to need for home ownership that they don't likely want to rent, buy, or store. Think like ladders, wheelbarrows, carpet cleaners. All of these pieces of equipment are branded to us, and they can come check out for free for life. And so we figured out a way to stay relevant within our clients' life journey in a way that was serving them, that allowed them to be our walking, talking billboards, which has allowed us to turn like every one client into 5 more pretty easily, and build a business now that's about 90% repeat and referral.
That's awesome. So when we talk about systems, I mean, you have to run a platform, lifetime home support, and with the agents that you have to be so systematized, organized, and detailed. I mean, even just to keep track of where the wheelbarrow and the margarita machine are.
Well, I say it's true. I have a PhD in failing forward, so I figured out all the ways how to do it wrong to begin with back in 14 and 15 and 16. And then we just got real, and we just decided to create software. So we have software that runs the whole thing for us. It's branded to us, because when you think about the normal life cycle of a consumer or a client anyway, they come to our websites before and during part of the transaction. They don't come after. They vet us. They look at houses to buy or to compare against theirs. We created a website for them that they go back to, branded to us, white labeled out. Other agents, brokers, and teams use it too, to do the same program of mine. It takes care of the whole flow, the inventory. Clients can book it on their own time. Everything's set up. So it just eliminated a ton of FTE effort. That really, with my program, we estimate it's probably about an hour of somebody actually physically here per day that actually handles any part of it. And now with AI, I think we're going to be scraping about 30% of that off in my next 90-day rock on some of that too. So it runs pretty seamlessly. And again, it provides that touch point. Agents are always like, what do I say? What do I talk to my clients about? Or I don't want to make my calls because it smells like commission breath. It's icky. Saying the icky stuff of like, and it's a phrase that's outlawed in our office, is the phrase of do you know anybody who wants to buy or sell a house? Like that is such a gross phrase. I mean, it just smells nothing but like commission breath. And so we have something that when we're offering and talking to them of service all the time, which instantly has the law of reciprocity go into effect. Because when, somebody gets something, they react by giving back in kind, and how they give back in kind is referrals and repeat business. So it allows us to help our agents, which I'm wildly passionate about, build a business that's referable, scalable, and ultimately sellable, because our industry has done a pretty crummy job of helping agents build one that they can actually sell. And a service-centric, relationship-based, systematized business can sell anywhere between 50 to 100% more. That's staggering, right?
It is, especially if you got the right systems.
Right.
So before you became the Amy Stockberger team, you were just Amy Stockberger, right?
For a hot second, I got into it like right out of college, and my dad was a broker, or owned a coldwell banker at the time, and he put me on the back end of the office, paid me 24 grand, dark dank office, said sink or swim. It was the most beautiful thing he could have done for me. And so I worked on the back end for two years, got licensed, was a buyer's agent for a couple months, was a single agent for even more couple months, and I got my sister licensed almost immediately, and we started a team with an assistant. And then my husband joined me in '09, and now here we are.
So was there a problem that you were originally trying to solve for that created the team, or was it just the natural flow for progression for you?
Yeah, well, creating the team, yes, I wanted to serve at a higher level, and I knew I couldn't do it just me. And there was no way if I didn't have a system in place. And I also saw an opportunity as we continued to grow, because I did it all wrong in the beginning, right? I was a jack of many, a master of none, working 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, my oldest son, who handles all of our agent support, training, attraction, and retention now, that little boy, because we're broke as a joke, when he was a baby, he went to his first closing when he was 2 weeks old. He's done more open houses than most real estate agents have. He could price houses by the time he was 8, because he was just always with us, because I was just hustling so much. And I didn't do, again, 14 is when I realized I found the hole in our business. I'm like, I need to authentically be serving my clients before my wants, needs, and desires. And if I do that, then I can teach other agents how to build a business that they love, that is one day sellable. And working with, the difference between working with a cold lead and a warm lead, pretty night and day. Converts pretty differently too. But our jobs are hard. We are working with, the world's, riskiest creatures besides polar bears, humans. They're just a risky creature, and they're in an emotional state, whether they're in a high part of their life or a downside of their life. And so our jobs are hard, and I wanted to find a way to help them build it so that they could, again, not have to make all the mistakes I did, not having to focus on things that were not going to move the needle whatsoever, and build something that was actually, like I said, something that was a sellable asset that was enjoyable to do while they were doing it.
Awesome. That's a good thing to really lean into, because I don't think that enough brokerages really help agents understand how to succession plan or how to run the business, efficiently that way.
I think it's an industry-wide issue that there isn't really any education that goes into it. They think they just mic drop and hope for a referral fee here and there. Whereas, you've built a solution for that, to take care of the exiting agent, to take care of the agent who's taking over the book of business, and to take care of the soon-to-be orphan clients, which, again, solutions, that's every entrepreneur, that's what you do. You provide solutions to problems that are out there, and it's a big problem.
So what would be the piece of technology you say is the backbone of your systems?
Monday.com. She is our beast.
A common thread with top producers.
Yeah, she's a beast. I love her, and she gets better every day. They're just smart on what they're doing right now. But we transitioned out of Sisu. We have all of our transaction management in it. There really isn't any part of our business that doesn't live inside of Mondays. I mean, this is a silly example, but we run EOS. We have Monday runs everything from EOS. It goes in and pulls everything. We don't have to put anything to our scorecard. It all does it for us.
So what's EOS for those listening?
Yeah, entrepreneur operating system. It's a way to run your business in a way I feel actually protects my business from me. Because as a visionary and entrepreneur, we're really good at coming up with a million things to do. And when you don't have restraints and systems and processes in place to hold that back and really all be rowing in the same direction every 90 days, then it's easy not to be, just to get everything to get lost. Because visionaries, me especially, I was a terrible leader to begin with. I had my people out because I had so many ideas I wanted to do. And then we're going to do this, and we'll get this up and going, and we'll quick do this. So we'd have 3 or 4 really big projects that we were doing. which helped us scale, but it just was a terrible way for me to lead my people. And so I wish, if I look back on I made a ton of mistakes. Like I said, I have a PhD in failing forward. I figure out all the ways not to do it and then systemize it and do it at a really high level. But I wish going into it, like a tip for any entrepreneur is even if you are a solopreneur, retraction, start implementing some of the processes. That is something that I wish I would have done from a very, very early stage. I wish I would have created my lifetime home support model right from the get-go. We'd have 20% market share, not 10%. And I wish I would have also, there you go. Yeah, I love it. Our lifetime home support model. Yes. I wish I would have created that. And then here's like a really silly, stupid one that I didn't do early that I should have done. CRM. I didn't. I was living in my actually Access. That's how I had for so long, and then Excel. And I didn't live by a CRM, which was so silly. And again, thinking of the amount of contacts that I didn't fully leverage back in those days, like hurts my stomach a little bit. We're Sierra Interactive. We love her. She's so good. My agents love her. So that's a big part of our tech stack too.
That's very cool. So when you're talking about Monday, you're actually running kind of everything in there.
Everything.
Right. The active listings, the referral directory, probably like all of your agent roster. I mean, is there anything you don't keep track of in Monday?
No, everything lives inside of Monday. Our member directory, our whole transaction coordination, and actually, we're like everybody, unapologetically AI first. Like the rule actually in our office is if our staff isn't using AI first, they're being irresponsibly unproductive, and that doesn't align with our core values. And so like we went pretty hard in the paint in 14 or 24 and 25 and hired an AI consultant to help us really leverage that and automate a lot of workflows. So we took our transaction management and took down 60+% of our transaction management that we automated out. That is pretty sexy right now and runs at a high level. Where I'm so service centric that my Achilles heel is that I would always add in so many things into those checklists. And like the joke is actually I say checklist here, they say drink because checklists are everything about how my brain works. But that I would have our checklist would be giant. We'd compare ours every time we would change any type of tech stack. They'd look at ours and be like, holy cow, what is going on here? But I wanted to make sure that we were over, one of our core values is communication cubed. Like over communication is always the standard. Over communicated client is a happy, peaceful client that doesn't have anything to, no unexpected expectations. And I didn't want to take out service. I didn't want to take out any of that. And so I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to go add in and automate as much service as I can. And I should say another one of my tech stacks that I love is obviously like just any AI platforms that I'm most in love with at the time, like Claude. Anthropic is like, she's a game changer right now. She's every day is something like so sexy that she's putting in there. And Cowork, I joke that I wonder if Cowork thinks about me as much as I think about her. But like, I just realized I took we have all of our cadence for all of our employees, like their cadence of their to-dos that live within one board. So every cadence that's like their daily or weekly or monthly tied to that position that lives in that. Well, I uploaded that into Cowork and built out. So it told me I had 1,639 tasks that lived within those cadence boards for all the employees, remote and here. And from there, we figured out a way to automate 550 some of those. So 34%, I believe, is what it is that we're automating, which doesn't mean that I get rid of employees. It means that I can take these employees and do what tech can't. Add in more, I call it human to human strategies, H to H strategies, strategic relationship building strategies, where we can even build even more referable, scalable, and sellable business, elevate client experience, elevate agent experience, elevate our vendors and our community experience. And our vision for our company is to build big, juicy legacies for everybody in our ecosystem using our lifetime home support model. And AI has helped us just a ton to add in even more of that lifetime home support.
I love that you brought in an AI consultant to help you do that. And that with everything that is out there or that you could vibe code or build, that they still latched onto Monday.com for you because it's such an operational piece for you and didn't force you to kind of change directions with that. Like, I think that's...
Yeah. We have so much in there.
What would you say is one of your biggest friction points in your tech system right now?
Friction points? That is a great question. Well, I can always have everything be more streamlined. I'm always looking for ways to shave off 10 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. There's some, like we use School for some of our all of our agent training. And That's where it just lives for them to go. And Byron Lazine shared with me how he does it, so we modeled it after his. And it's a great system, but they don't have an API that is real functional yet. Building out, we had to go in and build out an AI agent to actually go in to scrap that information because we built out a digital employee that lives inside of Microsoft Teams. So Teams is where that's where we communicate. That's our portal, right? And so we have a 24/7 agent support named Sammy that's hooked up to all of our SOPs, all of the information about our company, talks in our voice, our vernaculars, all of our shortcuts on words, everything. And we found and the reason we did this is that we were using Trainual as our learning model, our learning software, where we had all of our SOPs and workflows and checklists, but I felt like my agents were getting stuck in the search spiral. They would go in and they'd get lost. Like when you go into Google, you just get lost in a search spiral, right? And they were getting all these different things. Even it was documented in there. They were just getting all these. It was too complicated. It felt so. I thought I could streamline it. So we hook it all up so that it all lives in one place. That she can go and grab it easily, and they can say things like, "Hey, who do we have that is best to do? Hail replacement for shingles," and it goes and pulls from our vendor list all of our roofers who are in that, what kind of discounts they offer, gives them the contact card. Or they can say, "Hey, how do I, where's the cheat sheet for the MLS, data sheet?" She can go pull it. And then she talks in our language. She says things in our vernacular that we do. Like I call houses honey bunnies and, cutie patooties and like way to go and like huge on like servapreneur. Like that's what I call our people. So she talks in that language too. So it matches our culture. And so
Interesting.
So the
I love
API
that.
we had to build for that to bring that in, and he's not fully finished with that part. We have it in SharePoint now, but once that goes in, it'll be so much cleaner.
So as you've scaled your team, Ridge, what's been the hardest thing to kind of keep track of? Is it the people, the processes, the compliance, the products, the solutions?
I think I would say processes is again one of our superpowers. So we're always making them better because there's always new things that are coming up. But the hardest thing I would guess is really working on just continuous improvement on all of my leaders. Like I want all of my leadership team to be leaders and making sure that I was leading the charge with that. One of my coaches said this, I love this, said it's like, I'm not going to have all your answers. And I don't want you to think I'm going to have all the answers. I need you to be out there looking for answers to build this team, build the people to build the business. And I think when I really started going pretty hard in the paint on just identifying how I needed to increase my leadership, that's when we really started to see a lot of our scaling, really, really go, where it was everybody, the culture, everything really, really fell into place. And so I think I always joke Taylor Swift's song, "It's me, I'm the problem, it's me." It's probably for me. She probably made it for me. So once I figured that out.
So you used to use Sisu and now you're using Monday. Is there a dashboard or a metric that you look at every morning to see how the business is operating?
Yep, we have a whole dashboard that's built out inside of Mondays. It's beautiful. You can look at it.
And what's the key metric? What's the key metric you look at to see that stuff's moving still?
Well, we're monitoring just what our under contracts are per week. So I'm always just checking to see where we're at on that. Monitoring, we have a vendor program too. So one of our metrics that I monitor is what our monthly recurring revenue is on that. Our vendor program, like I said, is pretty high level for us and serves our clients and our agents at such a high level and is a revenue generator for us and a lead generator.
Yeah, because I could imagine if you could see if the number of inquiries for that stuff starts dropping off, you might see something in one way or another. Or when
Right.
Not
so much on the checkouts. No, I don't monitor those. Those are, that's a once a month that we talk about at team meetings on our checkouts for our equipment. I'm monitoring more. We have a vendor program that's 120 some vendors who take care of our clients before, during, and forever. Home services, lifestyle services. So HVAC, electrician, dentists, spas. And they pay us to be a part of the program. So they pay us a minimum of $3,500 a year to be a part of our program. Our highest tier is $7,500. So before we sell a house, we're profitable. So it's a big part of a big revenue generator for us, but it's also a really big lead generator for us. Because to be a part of the program, vendors have to allow us access to their employees, where we get to go in and tell them how we do things very differently with our lifetime home support model. And so we have a lot of leads that come off of that. Like last year, we closed 832 in GCI just from that lead source, vendors and their employees. So I'm very conscious of watching that where that's at and how we can, and we run that all through Mondays too, for the most part, how making sure my MRR for that is where that's at, and making sure, where we're at for how many, leads in, how many employee meetings, because I think we said this before, so sorry if I've said it here. I think what agents often forget is that, and just entrepreneurs, that it's not always what's new, it's what's true. And what's true is that you want to have as many people as possible talking about your brand in front of as many other people as possible, as often as possible. You want to create walking, talking billboards. And so this vendor program, not only serving our agents, not only serving our clients, giving our agents something to talk about. Their weekly calls, they get an email that I built out through Cowork that gives them a 7-day snapshot of who from our vendor network they need to be telling their clients about, what kind of maybe discounts they're offering, or what seasonality within where we're at in the year that they need to be using for conversation. So it's just giving them ways to communicate in a service-centric way instead of the natural, like, hey, do you want to know how much equity's in your house? Do you know what your neighbor's home sold for? It's more of like, hey, I know it's hard being a homeowner. I have a solution. And having that solution before they even say they have a problem is really, really fun.
I love that. Okay, so now into supporting your agents. You have around 25, 30 agents. It's your sweet spot, it seems. You've been around that number for a few years, which is very manageable number, especially when you're still doing production and everything else that you guys are doing. What does the support or the technology look like that you provide them with? Is there a CRM that you're providing them with, or
Yep, Sierra Interactive we provide them with. It's been the easiest, I think, integration of tech for my agents. They love the CRM. It's very user friendly. They love the lead gen parts of it, and so it's been. We're high believers in using that at a fairly high level. The agents, again, because we build them a way to turn every one client into 5 clients, we do have an average agent tenure of 7 years. So. And we have year after year, we have the highest production per agent in our market by usually double, because our agents, we have high producing, we have 20 some agents, but they're all high producing because we do about 10% of the local market share because of what they are done and keep in growing a business like that. So as far as tech, Logan, our son, he handles, again, all of our agent trainings. We have about 4 training opportunities a week that they can be a part of. Obviously, everything that they need lives within school. Then we have the support within Microsoft Teams. Have a lot of we're like people builders, so we're constantly building them up as far as the awards we're giving out, the recognition we're giving out, making sure that we're getting their name out to the public to show like how great they're doing, because we just have an incredible group of servopreneurs that are there to just elevate that client experience. It's pretty cool.
Is there anything that you use to keep track of their production, or their like recognizable, like you sold this is your biggest sale in 12 months, or
Oh yeah.
how are you coaching them up with that and recognizing people?
Yeah. So, we have Corded. So
Love
we do use
Corded.
Corded, which is awesome. We use that. I tell agents across the nation too, if they're going to start acquiring books of business, that they need to grab Corded and bolt that on, because that's the best way to tell what agents are maybe starting to pull off, and how easy it is to maybe pull in a hybrid agent, an agent who's like halfway in, halfway out, that you can integrate into your team or brokerage, where you can start getting in front of their client base. So we use that, but we also, again, Mondays is that's where everything lives for us. And so, once a month is they get the big boxing belt of the highest producer. Then we have once a month they get the whole team votes for the Purple Cow Award, the person who was the most outstanding of the last month. Once a month they get the $1 million. They have these chains with $1 million things of the $1 million producers, and then they get that. So we're big on, and we have a Soci Award, a social media award that we give out. So every meeting there's awards that are going to both agents and to staff.
That's so fun. And I think that's the recognition is really what 7.5 years seems to be that's a long time, I think, to keep an agent at a brokerage. And it's not just the tech that you offer, but really that is the culture there that you have. And I think culture is so loosely talked about, but when you're really having that type of success and that type of like results that you're giving to your sphere and to your agents there, I think that really is what fundamentally what culture is. So good job with that.
And don't you think that the way the world is moving, that, the rate that tech and AI are moving, that the one thing that tech will never really be able to replicate is that human to human connection. Can you use tech to help you elevate that human to human connection? Heck yeah. Should you? Absolutely. But value is just so loosely talked about in our industry, and there's not a real like definition of what it is. Again, like the heartbreaking thing we found when we found the hole in our business is that our unique value proposition literally was so shallow. It was what every agent in our market was saying. It was that we were doing textbook expectations of our job. And I feel like if we're going to really elevate our industry, the teams, the brokerages that lean into elevating that client and agent experience are going to be the ones that are really going to win, because they're going to naturally build an army, a tribe of people who are out there singing their praises. And humans trust referrals from friends and family 92% more than any other marketing or advertising campaign. So, that's huge. That's almost 100, right? Am I pretty close on
Yeah.
that? Pretty 100. It's pretty close. Leaning into to really caring for them in a way beyond the closing table, I feel is a non-negotiable for elevating our industry.
It's like you said about, technology can help you.
Hmm.
There's ways to send text messages now. And I come back to the happy birthday thing. It's kind of a pet peeve for me, but you can go and hook up your text messages to your CRM and have it send a happy birthday text out on the birthday. But why not have it remind you the day before? And then you send that person a message, a video message or a text message the day before their birthday, letting
Right.
them know, because now it's not automated, right? And
Totally.
it's just this automation of stuff, I think sometimes makes it so unauthentic and generic,
Yeah.
that use the technology to actually enable you to help you do stuff and remember it versus doing it completely for you.
Right. I have a silly story really quick on that. I thought it was pretty clever. Last year, I set up an automation on my phone to send our oldest son and my husband a text message in the morning, like varying times, so they didn't figure it was just me doing my automations on my phone, giving them like a pump up. And my son's a no bullshit kid, and he comes in day two and he's like, "Take me off that automation. Take me off." He knew right away. And then my husband set up. We use text replacements at a high level, like the OG of automation for a lot of things. But and like so, like joke, like I get to tell a lot of people that I love them every day. I don't have time to type out LOVE space a YOU explanation point. I just type LU and it auto populates. Same for our agents. Like they get a 26, cheat sheet of text replacements when they onboard to put in their phone. So a buyer contacts them that wants to start the process. They type BYRE, it auto populates 2 paragraphs or next steps. We have that for like the majority of the transaction. So I thought I was clever though. So Logan called me out right away, and then I set Adam up on a text where I didn't have to type LU anymore. Anytime he texts me, I simply had my phone set up to text it back to him, "Love you." And there was like this whole conversation that was going on between Adam and my phone for like a long time, where he thought I was just in love with that man for one day. "Love you, love you." He's like, "Damn it, I love you," because it just wouldn't stop. So it was long. I'm like, sometimes automation can go wrong.
So how do you balance automation and human interaction? Or how do you even like help your agents understand?
Well, we're very big on being a servapreneur and doing the above and beyond for the right reason. There's things that, like you're talking about the happy birthdays. A story last week actually during our team meeting was a happy birthday for one of our agents, Sean Martins, who's been with us a decade. He's just a great agent and a great, great servapreneur. But he texted somebody the day of their birthday, him personally, "Happy birthday." And the person that worked there was a past employee of ours, and sent over to him and said, "Just so you know, your name was brought up in our team morning huddle." And I'm like, Sean Martins, like, how important is that? Like, your brand was brought up in the team morning huddle of somebody who did something as easy because he has it just in his phone, just to remind him, not to automate it, but just to remind him. But those human touches are so important in having, it's being authentic, right? You have to be authentic, because the like I think the stat is that the energy of authenticity is 4,000% stronger than the human emotion of love. Like people feel authenticity more than they feel that human emotion of love, and love feels pretty good, right? So having that and leading with that is a big part of who we are.
I love that. But, it's just, I go back to my birthday thing.
Yeah.
Probably 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you were still calling someone to say
Oh,
happy birthday.
yeah.
And for some people, either those friends from high school or, aunt and uncles or cousins, like there was twice a year that you got to talk to someone.
Hmm.
And now it's down to a text message. That's why I try, like, I like to send the video. Like, if I'm not going to call, I at least send a video. And, my son will sing happy birthday or something
Love
like
it.
that. He's
Yeah.
he's 8, but you try and make it special for him.
Yeah.
Like in the sea of, Facebook's happy birthdays, and don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for them all, right? Like I just think I missed the phone call, you know?
Right. I think that's the H to H. And I think as we get deeper into this evolution of so much, AI, that humans are going to go revert back to wanting that human to human strategy, that
Mhm.
human to human connection. And think about our millennials. Okay, let's talk about some stats that make sense. A group, what is it, our biggest generation ever? That generation, like their core love language is having relationships. Their core love language is having convenience and loyalty to an experience.
Mhm.
That's their love language. So why would you not build your business around that? That's a pretty big number.
Yeah. Well, my son, who's 8, we got him a flip phone for his birthday. Not an iPhone,
Yeah,
like a straight up a burner phone from Target that was like $70, and
I
it
love
came
it.
with.
Great idea.
But we did it because I wanted, when he goes out on a bike ride or, over to a friend's house, to have a phone, but not a smartphone. But also, like, he didn't realize how to call a friend. I grew up with the home phone attached to the wall. If I wanted to talk to Brad, I called the phone number for that house, and then mom would answer. I'd have to say, "Hi, is Brad there? This is Troy."
Right.
Now Rhett is getting that practice of like calling his
Great
friends.
idea.
Yeah, I mean, like it cost me one time. Like he's never going to go
Right.
through all those minutes, but he can call grandma. He can call his friends to go see if his friends can go down to the beach, or
My
it's not like he's
nine-year-old,
sending
my
text
nine-year-old
messages.
legend is going to get a burner phone because of you. That's brilliant because he can't
I
remember to
love the
like wear a
burner phone.
watch.
He had the watch, but and then when he would go for a bike ride, we'd throw an air tag on him, but like the air tag can't call.
Right.
Like it's great for tracking, but now we glued the air tag to the back of the phone. Now I know where the phone is at least when he loses it, but
Smart.
it's been one of those things to help him answer the phone, learn how to have a conversation with an adult, through the phone. But I think there's going to be a generation that really doesn't know how to prospect or business develop or even like, call somebody and say, "Hey, have you thought about selling your home or inquiring about what your home is worth?"
Totally.
They're going to rely on, bots to do it, which is, going to come back in a great way.
I totally 100% agree with that. And I'm totally stealing that idea. Thank you. My son Legend is going to be very excited when I tell him he gets a flip phone.
Dude, I mean, I felt like the greatest. It was the greatest birthday present, and it cost like $70. It
Yeah.
Burner phone from Target.
Love it.
What's the biggest shift that you see coming to brokerages in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think it's I already said it, sorry, but it's those who are not leaning in to building out additional revenue streams that are
Hmm.
also multifunctional assets as lead generation. I feel is going to be one real downfall. And for those that are not staying in front of their clients beyond the closing table. And back in the day when I was building my business and my team, my guide, like I was Coldwell Banker when I started, then my dad went indie with his brokerage. It was the Gary Keller's book, Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And what was it was the lesson was 33 touches every year that you need to talk to your clients for them to stay in front of you. Our clients now, past client is a dirty word, like it's outlawed in our office. We only have forever clients. We haven't had a past client since 14, but our forever clients, their touch point, their journey with us is a minimum of 99 times. But the majority of those are all from service, asking if how we can help in a real way. And so I feel like the companies and I feel like so the brokerages and the teams are going to be sticky, have agents who are stickier to them because they're helping them keep the client sticky to them because there's just so many ways that things are going to start going a little bit goofy, I think. And so I think adding in real, actual tangible value is going to be what's going to help. I feel the ones that are just going to go completely transactional and not transformational whatsoever, I feel are going to hurt. Transformational is going to win.
What is one piece of technology you wish would just go away?
How can I say it?
You don't have to name it if it's a company or a name, but you can allude to what kind of product it is.
Well, I'm gonna sound like an old person here, but okay, here's a mistake I made. How about I start with that? I made a lot of mistakes. But one of my mistakes I made is that I didn't focus on my personal brand soon enough. I was very focused on my businesses. We have a handful of other ones, but I was very focused on those. I didn't want to give up anything about me personally. We're in a small market. I wanted to keep, part of that private for me and my family. And that was such a dumb move. Coached in Dan Martell's coaching eco a couple of years ago. He was, his point was, he's like, you're always going to be Amy Stockberger. You're not probably always going to have Amy Stockberger real estate, but you're always going to be Amy Stockberger. So not working on your personal brand, it was like a dumb thing. But I will tell you, and I do love it, but social media takes a little bit of time to like pour in. I mean, and we've automated, we have our marketing department down to a 20-hour, independent contractor at this point. But it's a lot of just research on what things
Love
are.
hate relationship.
Yeah, it really kind of is. And then I think about it more for my kids too, just on what their expectations of the world are. Like my youngest Legend, they see the kids, they see everybody with it done perfect, which we did too when we were growing up to an extent, but it's very different on what their perception is. So, I feel my youngest, particularly, really struggles with this, that if he's not perfect at something right away, it just drives him bananas because he thinks that's the way the world is. And so it's like having to tell him over and over again that's doing the reps, that everybody he's seen, they've done the reps. They just didn't video that. So they're seeing not the real full story. So I think that if YouTube kids could have gone away, I mean, don't ban me, Google. I love you, Google. I'm good.
Hey, I think YouTube has done, and again, Rhett's 8, but I mean, he's got such a large vocabulary
Yeah.
and like pronunciation. And it's not that we let him go wild watching YouTube like all day long. He's got timers and stuff, but I do think that that's helped. But you're right. I mean, this needing to be perfect, I see it in him differently than I see it in myself and my wife. Like this perfectionism is harder for him, wanting stuff to be finished perfect. And I don't know where he gets that from. I mean, I definitely have a component of like it needs to be perfect before it goes out, but I
But
think it
done
is
is better than perfect, right? That's what I tell them. Like done is better than perfect. Like we're just going, we're sending it. Done is better than perfect. Otherwise, we stay on it forever. We'd never get anything done, right?
or you turn it in late.
Yeah.
My mom can tell whole stories about that. So, well, I have so much enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time and, really sharing with us what you guys do. And I wish you the best and all of your agents and everything.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Again, I love what you're doing. I love people that pour back into our industry. It's so, so honorable. So thank what you're doing too.
Thank you so much. Oh, wait, I got one last question. You said you've got your marketing team down to 20 hours a week.
Independent contractor.
So you're doing 350 transactions plus a year. So figure half of those are listings.
Hmm.
What are you using to automate all of that? Is there a system that you're doing?
Yeah, well, again, a lot of it is through Mondays that we automate. I took Claude Code has helped us automate even more, but we automate out, like here's an example. A listing goes live. She goes out and scans my website every morning and looks for any listing my team has brought out. She writes at me an AEO, SEO, GEO rich, two different blogs, two different vernacular, adds in all my lead magnets that makes sense and would align with that specific listing. And then she goes and posts it on two different websites. And then she does that again every 7 days. And then she sends me a report at the end of the week of what she's done. So as far as like getting our AEO, SEO, and GEO up, she's great. And then we've automated, obviously, just posting and as far as our videos, I don't sell that much anymore. I do a little bit, so there's not much for me. But then for agents, it's just we have a system. Everything has just a cadence of what we do for listings. I'm really big on not having listings on our actual social media handles that are Amy Stockberger Real Estate. We have one that's our IDX name, Find a Home in Sioux Falls, that we link back and forth to because Amy Stockberger Real Estate's like our brand, our culture, and they know that's what we do, and we link back to the other one. I could be wrong, but that's the way I do. But
Are you using in like Canva or a Maxa or something like that for the print collateral?
We use Canva for that, and we use Gemini too at a pretty high level to create like little videos and some photos. We use Social Pilot for auto automation or auto to a handful of them. We still my she does go in and do Amy Stockberger brand and Amy Stockberger real estate on Instagram herself. We build out content with help through AI and just knowing, and built out projects. So again, it has the context for what we're doing and what our 90-day goals are. So it's cross-referencing and seeing what we're wanting. And is it perfect? No, but it works. And it can always be better, but it's really helped just really take down a ton of expenses that we just didn't need. I had a full-time person in that it just didn't make sense. I have that was a videographer, and that didn't make sense. Financially, it didn't make sense. I mean, I have a videographer on my vendor program who pays me to be a part of the vendor program. It's easier for me to take him in when I need to do random things or have him go do, listings like that than for me to do it, to have somebody in-house, an FTE that I was paying for.
So when did you hire your AI consultant? 2024, you said? So what did your life, how much has your life changed by bringing the AI into
I think
the
in
brokerage?
25, yeah, from when we started in 25, it's about 60% of workflows were automated. I was just done with the bullshit, Troy. I was done with the bullshit. I was done with I'm big on the Amazon model of, again, turning cost centers into profit centers and finding ways to do things in a more streamlined way. And so, like, I know this can be better, and I know I can have it done in a way that it's more predictable on some of
Hmm.
the ways we were doing it. And there were some things we were doing that weren't moving the needle. Like that's the thing I think a lot of business owners don't look at. Like, what are you spending money on that you have zero ROI or negative big time ROI on? And
Yeah.
got really serious about that. Like, I don't want that. I mean, our profitability, and I want to build a big business like I'm going to sell. I want to be a big story in Inman when I sell because of the multiple I'm going to be able to sell for because of how much we build things differently. You know what I mean? And so we got very intentional about it, very intentional. And we're keeping going because everything keeps getting better and easier.
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't mean you take out all your humans. You can't do that, and I would never do that. I love our people. Our people add so much value to the client and the agent experience, and that's what we want. We want to continue to be known for a brand who's not only the local experts at connecting buyers and sellers, but is there to take care of them through all of their human journey in so many ways.
So if you were to give one piece of advice, because I mean, you went through this journey and navigation to, AI centric, brokerage and platforms with 25 agents. I'm sure there was resistance there, but what kind of piece of advice could you give to a brokerage or a team leader that's thinking like, I want to go heavier into AI, but I'm scared to because I'm going to get pushback from my agents and less adoption than I'm already getting?
Well, I think the first thing I would say is they need to look at what's most broken in their business that they can fix the fastest, that has the most amount of ROI. Then I think they need to start there and figure out as an operator, does that make sense across the board? And the one thing that we think about often, like when we're thinking about adding any ad spend or any tech stack or bringing anything in, is like, is it going to help us serve at a higher level? Is it going to help us eliminate anything? Or is it going to help us, and is it going to help us get to another level as far as get back on in different ways? And so we're looking at it that way. And I think another, maybe I should say it simpler, put it through the SAD framework. That's what I run by. Systemize, automate, delegate, delete it. Everything in their business needs to go through that framework. They need to look and see how they can systemize it, where they can automate it, who they can delegate it to, or if they can simply delete it. Because we as entrepreneurs are really good at causing commotion where there doesn't need to be commotion. Oftentimes the answer within that SAD framework is deletion. And a lot of times they can do that. If they're trying to get buy-in from their agents, I think every leader would agree with me on this, is you get your advisory boards, you get your top producers, you get your ones who have the most weight and influence, and you bring them in and you make sure that they're on board with it. If you get cheerleaders for you before you roll it out, it's slam dunk. And if you get
That's a lot of what even in talked about even in the traction book, and
Mhm.
EOS is getting the cheerleaders ahead of time. But
Yeah,
I mean, that's why I think bigger brokerages have, agent advisory boards and committees for different stuff. So when they are implementing a new piece of tech, does it pass the committee's, approval? And then you've got your champions there and your cheerleaders that are going to help
right.
make sure that it actually gets, pushed out.
We don't have an official board. We used to. We have our leadership board for EOS, but we have what I call my OGs, my original gangsters, my agents who have been with us 12, 11, 10 years. They're the ones who we go to when we need, and if it doesn't make sense for them, then maybe it's not going to make sense at all. And, we as operators have to be the final decision, but I'm very invested in building them a big, juicy legacy. And so if I'm getting pushback from them, then it doesn't make any sense. I want them to continue to build a big, juicy legacy because they're awesome humans.
A great thing. All right. Well, goodbye for real now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.